Hey guys, welcome back to Furniture Flipping Teacher. If you're new here, my name is Lauren and I am a full-time kindergarten teacher who also flips furniture on the side to earn a little bit of extra money that I put straight toward my student loan debt. Today I'm going to be flipping this dresser, and we picked this dresser up from Facebook Marketplace. It was $30. It was actually listed at $50, but I asked if they would take $30 and they said yes, so we got it all loaded up and now it's time to get going. Alright, so today I'm going to be using Crud Cutter, which is just a chemical cleaner that I recommend you use gloves for cleaning. And I'm just gonna spray it on and wipe it off with warm water. Remember, the reason we clean is so that the paint adheres to the furniture itself and not any of that dust or dirt or anything like that. So then you go ahead and wipe everything off. Now I'm going to remove the hardware from the drawers, and then I'll be able to do some scuff sanding. So generally I keep all the hardware in one spot all together, but this time I'm actually going to be putting this in my hardware stash, and I'm going to be replacing the hardware. The hardware that I'm going to be using is a gold looking piece of hardware that actually came off of another dresser that I had redone back several months ago. And I'm not keeping this gold, but I'm going to keep you guys waiting for the color that I'm going to be painting these to go onto the dresser. It actually happened to be that these were a perfect match size-wise, and I don't know about you, but I get really excited when I don't have to drill new holes. Stay tuned for the color of the hardware. I am now going to clean where the hardware was, and then we'll be able to do some scuff sanding. For the scuff sanding, I actually just used this hand sander. I got one at Harbor Freight, but you can get them at any hardware store. I'll link one down below on Amazon. But all you need is a hand sander. It's actually reminds me of like a drywall or something that you're gonna attach tile with. That's the shape of it. And then a square piece of sandpaper, and then basically you just cut to size the sandpaper. So now I just put my sander on the edge of the sandpaper, and then I cut it to size with my scissors. I like to try and get 3 pieces of sandpaper for this out of each sheet. And I'm using 80 grit. .80 grit is a little bit more coarse of a sandpaper. I like to use that for my starting grit. And then I can always go up from there to a finer, coarse sandpaper. Just spin that on there. And again, the one that you get might be different than this one, but here's a gist of how to install. on. This just also makes it for if you have like a smaller area, or you are in an apartment and you don't have a space to use an orbital sander. This is a really good option, especially if you don't have a lot to sand. Generally, things will just need scuff sanding, which just means that you sand over it to give it a little bit of texture. This dresser is very glossy, so that is one reason why I'm going to do some sanding. And then also because there are some things on the top, like I said, paint and different things like that. So I'm just gonna smooth it out, make it a little bit more textured, and then my paint will adhere perfectly once I'm ready to do that. Maybe I didn't get that one in quite good enough. Alright, and now that I've got all those scuffed up, I'm going to take my chip brush and I'm going to go and get all the dust off, and then we'll be ready to paint. Alright, so today I'm going to be using Cobblestone by the Chippy Barn in their Amulet Furniture Decor paint. It is, I believe, a soft gray color. So that's what's going on this dresser, and I'm going to use the Zebra paintbrush. Again, I just love using these. They're so soft and easy to control. This one is the thicker 2-inch angled brush where it holds a lot of paint, so you're able to spread it farther and so on. And these brushes are at Home Depot, or you can buy them online at Zebra's website. So be sure to check that out if you are into painting furniture. I highly recommend those. And now I'm gonna paint now. Alright, the first coat is done on this dresser and all the drawers. So I always like to keep my paintbrush inside of a Ziploc bag or a grocery bag, anything to just keep the air out, especially if I'm going to do a second coat. I hate washing brushes as it is, so I always just try to do it one time at the very end. It'll keep safe in here and it won't dry out, and we'll come back and see if it needs a second coat. Alright, I'm back for the second coat. I'm gonna open my bag, get my brush out, and apply coat number 2 of the Chippy Barn paint. And just a little more information about the Chippy Barn. It's not chalk paint. Keep that in mind when you're using it, but this has really, really, really great coverage. So you use way less paint than you would if you were using another type of paint. The price tag is a little bit intimidating, but I recommend just starting with these smaller cans. And this, I've used this much of the can so far on a whole entire coat of a dresser. So as you can tell, this is gonna get me through several projects, and I'm still going to be able to be using the same amount of paint that I would normally use. It gets really awesome coverage. So I'm going to do the second coat. I just need to do some touch-ups really. Let's get going. So another awesome thing about the Chippy Barn paint is that it is self-leveling as well, so it won't have these brush strokes when it dries. It's able to just level out and you'll get a really smooth finish. Second coat is on there. Now I'm gonna go wash my brush, and then we're gonna let this dry before I do the top coat. And I'm gonna be doing a little something different than I usually do or like to do with the top coat, so keep on watching. Alright, so now that the second coat is dry, I'm going to take a sanding block. This one is 120 grit, but it's pretty worn out, so I'd say it's even finer than that. I'm just going to take it and go over all of the gray and smooth it out one last time before I put on the top coat. I'm not pushing too hard because I don't want to make any of it come off. I'm just lightly sanding. Gonna go through and wipe down all the dust. There shouldn't be that much because it was very light. Alright, and top coat time. Alright, so I'm going against what I normally do, and it's not a bad thing to do it, it's just a preference that I like to do. Well, my top coat from the Chippy Barn is a satin finish, and the gray is actually a matte finish, and I really like how it's turning out in the matte finish. Therefore, I'm going to use a matte finish top coat, and the one that I happen to have on hand is the Rust-Oleum Matte Clear. Now again, since these are water-based, the Chippy Barn paint is water-based, and the top coat is water-based, it's okay to use them together, cross-branding. That is perfectly fine. It's just something that I usually don't do, but in order to pull off this look, I'm gonna go ahead and use the Rust-Oleum Matte Clear. I use the foam brush for all of my top coats. I just really love the way that it applies. Nice and smooth, there's no brush strokes, any of that, so highly recommend using a foam brush. They're like 50 cents at any hardware store. For top coats, I recommend going in one direction, so side to side would be my recommendation, just so that everything looks nice when it is dry. In case you can see any sort of strokes, it's all in the same direction. All done with the top coat. Now we let that dry and then we put the hardware on. Surprise for you guys. And then we'll stage and take photos. Alrighty, the top coat is all dry, so it's time to do the final step of putting the drawers in and installing the hardware. Alright, the wait is over for you guys. I'm gonna reveal the color of hardware. I thought it would be really sleek to have a black handle against the gray, so I really hope that this works out. I'm gonna install it and see how it looks. So for this piece, I did something a little bit different and I used the Chippy Barn and the Rust-Oleum Matte Clear top coat. And that's something I normally don't do, but I like the way that it turned out. Again, if it's the same base of paint and top coat, it's okay to cross them. I really wanted that matte finish just because I knew the hardware was gonna be matte and I wanted the rest of it to be matte. And matte is just a flat, no shine, no gloss, nothing like that. Try everything you wanna try with different paints. And if you cross over brands, that is okay. It's just a preference that I usually don't, but who knows? Maybe I'll start doing it some more. So I staged this dresser to look as if it may belong in someone's bedroom because that's generally where you're gonna put a dresser. I put the black mirror on top because that was gonna kind of help the handles pop and it would be a good addition to the top of a dresser if someone wanted to do that in their actual bedroom. So remember, I got this piece for $30 off of Facebook Marketplace. And I've been kind of testing out my market and I'm going to list this guy at $180 and we're going to see if that is a good price for my area in this style. I've never done this style before, so I'll be interested to see the interest in it. And I really like this style, so I hope it sells well. That way I can do some of the same style again. But I'm going to get it listed right after I measure. For this piece, it took me probably about 3 hours to do completely. These are quick flips, especially if there's no damage. Some things that I buy, there's a little bit more work that needs to be done, but I really love, love, love the quick flips that I can then post really fast and get a good profit out of, making it worth my time. February has been a pretty slow month for us here in Nebraska, but I am optimistic that this thing is gonna get sold. It's only been listed for a couple of days, so I just got a few more days to wait until I will probably lower the price just a little bit. Even though this hasn't been sold for this video, be sure to go over to Instagram and follow me at Furniture Flipping Teacher, and I will update my followers over there when this guy sells and for how much profit it sells for. Remember, don't get discouraged if things don't sell within 1 day or even 2 days. Sometimes I have to wait weeks before things sell. Do not get discouraged. Be patient. I have learned the hard way that I need to continue to be patient, and I encourage you guys to do the same. I am still on my journey to pay down my student loan debt, so get subscribed down below to follow along that journey. And again, follow me over on Instagram at Furniture Flipping Teacher. We have a running tally over there of the furniture that I flip and the profits that I make. So head over there, like this video down below, and that really does help me out when you guys do that. And comment down below if you have to wait longer periods of time. How long is an average time for you guys to wait until pieces sell? On average for me, I'd say 5 days or less, which is really good, I know, but it gets me a little bit frustrated when it doesn't sell in that 5 days. So anyway, I will update you when this sells, and I'll see you on the flip side.